Greetings, bike guys and bike gals. This is part 4 of our series on what bike should I buy. And this segment is directed more to the intermediate or advancing rider. So stick around. Okay, so bike guys, I want to talk about what we consider an intermediate or an advancing rider, and I thought I would just start with a bit of a description, and you kind of put yourself wherever you think you are. In this class, I consider people that are trail riders who just go out on a weekend warrior, a once-a-month rider, or somebody who just semi-regularly rides in this group because they are not, maybe don't have a racing background or any of those sorts of things, and they just want to get out and enjoy the trails and ride with their friends, get out and see the country and that sort of thing. And they are definitely a step above a beginner rider, but they haven't developed the skills or the experience yet to actually, feel like they're staying in control. Well, a lot of that has to do with the bike you buy. And I want to compare motocross bikes kind of versus enduro bikes versus trail bikes. And motocross bikes are made for a specific purpose. They're made for closed racetracks. They're made to be ridden aggressively. And that, which makes them good bikes. They're great bikes. I've owned a lot of motocross bikes, did a lot of motocross racing in my days. But that versus an enduro type bike, the power delivery on an enduro type bike is much easier to control when you're on the trails and just riding around, where the motocross bikes are more edgy. They like to be ridden hard and that sort of thing, where the enduro bikes, they can also be ridden hard, but they are a little softer in the power delivery. The suspensions and things like that are set up differently. And trail bikes that we covered a little bit in our part 3 are more or less just to get you out on the trail and get you experienced and start building your skill sets and just have some fun on. Well, the enduro bikes kind of cross over to that. That doesn't mean that an enduro bike can't be ridden on a motocross track, but if you take a motocross track out trail or motocross bike out trail riding, you'll find it takes a lot more effort because the bike really wants to run and run hard. So there is quite a bit of difference between off-road riding and trail riding compared to track riding. So those are just some highlights there. And in racing itself, if you're considering racing, there are a lot of different types of bikes available. I got some categories here. I want to talk about enduro. That's a term that a lot of people are not really familiar with. It comes from back in the 60s and the 70s, 1960s and 70s. And the enduro racing all across the country was a test of the man and the machine on off-road trails. And they have two different types. Well, here in America, we have two different types of, or three probably, in enduro racing. We have timed enduro, where the enduro is you're run through sections on a particular prescribed time for your class and it's a matter of using your riding skills to stay on time. And then they have what's called sprint enduro, which is short sections of race course, maybe 5-10 miles or something like that, and it's whoever can get through each section the fastest. And then we've all seen the guys on TV and that doing the hard enduro. Well, obviously the hard enduro is not for your average rider. Most of those courses are so rough and so difficult that it takes a very advanced or expert level rider to ride it. The other area that has a wider appeal is called Grand Prix, and they have different names for these types of events, but they're usually around a course, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles or something like that, and it's how many laps you can get in a prescribed amount of time. And those are a little more forgiving for a intermediate or advancing rider, because while everybody's on the course at the same time, you can just go to the speed that you're most comfortable with. And then there's another series of races out here in the West, particularly where we have desert racing. And desert races can vary. They can be like a Grand Prix where they run laps on a 20-mile course. Hare and Hound is a particular term for 50-mile loops. You may go twice around a 50-mile loop or 2 connecting 50-mile loops. And desert racing is also pretty open for the intermediate and advancing rider, because you can go the speed that you want to go, and then you learn to handle your machine in a bunch of different areas. And then not last, but lastly, I want to talk about motocross racing. Motocross racing has evolved a lot over the years. There's plenty of information on that. But in motocross racing, they have different skill level classes and different engine size classes, and also different age group classes. So typically at a motocross, they will have a beginner class, and it's designed for people to just get their feet wet and get it a try. And they are able to go out and do a short motocross, 3 to 4 laps or something like that. And it's really designed, the beginner class is really designed for guys to go out maybe 2, 3, 4 times and try it out. And then they should move up to the novice class. And the novice class is just that. They're novice racers. And they go at a little higher pace. They've already been through the beginner classes, so they know what to expect. They know a little more about their bike and that. And then once they've become proficient as a novice, then they should move up to the intermediate or amateur level, which is an in-between level. And there you definitely see a marked change in the skill sets and the way they can ride their bikes. And then you have expert level motocross. That is just for that, experts. And then above that, they have one more class called masters, and that's for people who have been experts for a while or ex-professionals and things like that. So there's a lot of different kinds of racing that you can do. I don't want to keep this discussion just to racing, although I have a lot of racing in my background. One of the funnest times that you can have on your off-road bike is getting together with friends or on a group ride and just go out trail riding. Usually what happens, you get 3, 4, 5 guys together, and one guy knows the area or knows the trails, and he kind of leads the pack around, and you can improve your skill set by watching people that are better than you, and you can get out and ride places that you've never seen before and different types of terrain and stuff like that. It's an excellent way to improve your skills, have fun, good camaraderie, and it's just that is probably the biggest segment of off-road motorcycling there is just fun trail riding. And boy, I do it all the time, or as regularly as I can, and anybody, even if they're a expert or pro level racer, loves to just do it then too. Maybe they go a little faster and a little harder than the average trail rider, but they like to just get out and enjoy the trails with their friends. Now, one more step in this whole process here is rider training versus motocross schools. There are a plethora of motocross schools around the country, and I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity to go, you will learn things about how the dynamics of a motorcycle works in the off-road area. But motocross is not trail riding, and trail riding is not motocross. And you kind of have to keep that in mind. There are a few places out there where you can get some rider training for off-roading and learn how to brake and clutch and use it in more difficult terrain, maybe in sand washes or creek beds and things like that. If you can find one of those schools in your area, I highly recommend you getting involved in that. You will learn things that you didn't even know a bike can do. They're amazing machines, and you can learn how to do that. So then the other thing, well, not the last thing. So when you go out to pick a bike, don't go buy the biggest motor you can find. Take an assessment of your skill set. Figure out how much experience you have. And just because the guy down the street from you has got the latest, greatest 450 monster moto enduro bike doesn't mean that that's what you need or is even good for you. A lot of times we've found that people who will drop down in bike engine size find that they can ride considerably better because now they're not fighting the bike, they're working with the bike. And it's really important thing to do. So and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of riders there. So if you're 5'6", 5'8", and you weigh 140 pounds, you have no business being on a 450. You need to start off with a 200, a 250, or something like that, and get your skill set up. That doesn't mean that the smaller man can't ride the bigger bikes, but it takes a lot more to do so. And then if you're a big man, I've got friends that I ride with that are well over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds, and that sort of thing. And yes, they have muscle and strength and stuff like that where they can hold on to a bigger bike. But sometimes these guys will overestimate their skills and abilities and find that they're much better off on a smaller bike as well. It's not always being able to full throttle up some big giant hill climb that makes you into a rider. It's learning to develop your skills and being able to tackle and ride all kinds of different terrains, whether it's in the sand or rocks or single track trails or creeks or whatever like that. Consider what you're buying to that type of riding that you're going to do. And then lastly, I want to talk about practicing. I want to encourage everybody to get out and practice. And what does that look like? Well, if you're only riding once a month with a couple of trail buddies or something like that, you're practicing while you're doing it. But if you have the opportunity to go out to a riding area, maybe not far from your home or whatever like that, and learn to practice the skills that are going to take you and make you a better trail rider by ride a circle, just a circle, maybe a 30, 40 foot circle without putting your foot down, without dragging your toe, without steering it, without stalling the motor, and then raise that to a figure 8 and get where you can keep your feet on the pegs and you can ride in those circles and make nice smooth turns, and then go from there to standing and just practice going around and making turns in that. And then if you can find a mound of dirt or something like that, go back and forth over it, different angles, different approaches, different speeds of the approach, using your clutch and your brakes so that you can just ease up over a big mound of dirt or something like that, and you will find your skill set improve dramatically. So I know I probably open more doors for questions here, so please do send us a question in the comments section. We'd love to hear some feedback from that. I've had some experience in training other riders, and I've got a lifetime of riding experience, and I would like to share some of those skills and abilities with you. And boy, we want to encourage you guys to go out and have a day of riding where you're not fighting the bike all day, but you're enjoying the ride. You're not crashing and hurting yourself or doing any of those sorts of things, that you feel like you're in control. So stick around and we'll have some more information on that. And then conversely, if you want to see more videos on rider skills and how to develop them and that sort of thing, leave us a comment. And we're looking for feedback on our YouTube channel, and we love to get comments and things. And it really helps us in developing what you guys would like to see. So thanks a lot for being a bike guy or bike gal, and we appreciate you guys and want to help you expand that world of dirt bike riding.